They said no to my face. I sat in their living room in Scottsdale, Arizona, with my business plan printed and bound, ready to ask for a $70,000 loan to start my consulting business. My father didn't even look at the numbers. "It's too risky, Paige. Small businesses fail. We can't afford to lose that kind of money." My mother nodded. "We have to protect our retirement. You understand, don't you?" I understood. I'd heard it my whole life. Too risky. Not practical. So I left and built my consulting firm anyway, with maxed out credit cards and 80-hour weeks. 3 years later, I was making six figures. No help from them. Just me. Then last week, my Aunt Patricia mentioned something over lunch at the herb box. That $725,000 your parents gave Brooke for her boutique was so generous. Not many parents can do that. I went cold. $725,000? When? 3 years ago. When she opened her store. You didn't know? The same year they told me $70,000 was too risky, they handed my sister $725,000. I sat there, fork frozen in my hand, my entire body shaking. Then I smiled at my aunt and said 5 words that would detonate my family. "Tell me everything you know." Because what I discovered over the next 72 hours wasn't just about the money. It was about decades of lies, favoritism so extreme it bordered on abuse, and financial manipulation that would land my parents in legal trouble they never saw coming. And by the time I was finished, the perfect family image they'd built would be completely destroyed. My name is Paige, and I'm 35 years old. I run a successful management consulting firm in Phoenix, Arizona, specializing in helping small businesses optimize their operations. I make $180,000 a year, built entirely from nothing. No trust fund. No family loans. Just determination and credit card debt that took me years to pay off. My younger sister Brooke, 32, owns a high-end boutique called Lux & Lane in Old Town Scottsdale. Designer clothes, expensive jewelry, the kind of place where a simple dress costs $800. She's always had expensive taste, and somehow always had the money to indulge it. My parents, both in their mid-60s, live in a beautiful house in North Scottsdale near the McDowell-Sonoran Preserve. My father, Richard, is a retired financial advisor. My mother, Diane, never worked but always presented herself as the perfect society wife. Country club memberships, charity galas, the whole image. Growing up, the favoritism was obvious but never quite provable. Brooke got a brand new Lexus for her 16th birthday. I got a used Honda Civic. Brooke's college tuition at Arizona State University was paid in full. I worked 2 jobs and took out $45,000 in student loans. Brooke's wedding cost $80,000. Mine was at a courthouse because I couldn't afford anything else. But I'd accepted it. I told myself I was the strong one, the independent one, the one who didn't need help. I built my own success and was proud of it. Until last Tuesday. I'd met my Aunt Patricia, my mother's younger sister, for lunch at the Herb Box on East 6th Avenue. We were catching up talking about work, life, normal things. Then she said it. "Your parents are so generous." That $725,000 they gave Brooke to start her boutique was incredible. Not many parents can do that for their children. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. "I'm sorry, what?" Patricia looked at me strangely. "The money they gave Brooke. For Lux & Lane. You knew about that, right? How much did you say?" $725,000. Your father told my husband about it at the country club. Said they wanted to help Brooke pursue her dreams. I assumed you knew. My hands were shaking. I set down my fork carefully. $725,000. When was this? About 3 years ago. Right before she opened the store. 3 years ago. The exact same time I'd sat in their living room asking for $70,000. Patricia must have seen something in my face. "Paige, are you okay? Did they loan it to her or give it to her?" "Give it, I think. Your father said something about it being an early inheritance." "Why? What's wrong?" I forced a smile. "Nothing. I just didn't realize it was that much." We finished lunch, but I barely tasted my food. My mind was racing, calculating, comparing. $725,000 for Brooke. 0 for me. I drove straight home to my condo in Central Phoenix. I pulled out my laptop and started searching. I found Brooke's business registration on the Arizona Corporation Commission website. Lux and Lane LLC, registered 3 years and 2 months ago. I pulled up the boutique's Instagram. Professional photos, expensive inventory, a prime location on Main Street in Old Town. The kind of store that requires serious capital to start. $725,000 worth of capital. I opened my filing cabinet and found the folder I'd kept from 3 years ago. My business plan for Paige Martinez Consulting. 50 pages of market research, financial projections, client testimonials. I'd asked for $70,000 to cover initial operating costs, marketing, and 6 months of expenses while I built my client base. My father's words echoed in my head. It's too risky. We can't afford to lose that kind of money. They couldn't afford $70,000, but could afford $725,000? I called my husband, Marcus. He's a corporate attorney at a firm in Tempe, logical and level-headed. Marcus, I need to tell you something. I explained what I'd learned. He was silent for a long moment. That's a significant amount of money, he said carefully, and a significant discrepancy in treatment. It's not just discrepancy. It's proof of everything I've always felt but could never prove. That they never believed in me. That Brooke was always the favorite. That I was always the afterthought. What do you want to do? I want the truth. All of it. I want to know where that money came from, why they gave it to her and not me, and what other lies they've been telling. Paige, be careful. This could get messy. It's already messy. I'm just finally seeing it clearly. That evening I started digging. I called my other aunt, my father's sister Rebecca, who lived in Tucson. Aunt Rebecca, can I ask you something about Mom and Dad's finances? Sure, honey. What's going on? Did you know they gave Brooke over $700,000 to start her business? There was a pause. I heard something about that. Your father mentioned helping her with startup costs. Did he mention the amount? Not specifically, but I remember thinking it sounded like a lot. Why? Because 3 years ago, they told me they couldn't afford to loan me $70,000. Said it was too risky. Rebecca was quiet. That doesn't seem fair. It's not. And I'm trying to figure out where that money came from. Did they have that kind of cash available? I don't think so. Your father's retirement accounts are substantial, but that's not liquid money. If they gave Brooke that much, they either withdrew from retirement funds or took out loans. Or they had money they never told me about. Possibly. But Paige, if you're thinking of confronting them about this, be prepared. Your parents don't like being questioned. I'm beyond caring what they like. The next morning, I called an old friend from college, Jordan, who worked as a private investigator in Phoenix. Jordan, I need help with something personal. Can we meet? We met at a coffee shop on Camelback Road. I explained the situation. I need to know where that money came from. Whether they took loans, withdrew from retirement accounts, or had hidden assets. I need to understand the full picture. Jordan took notes. I can look into public records, property transactions, business filings. If there are any liens, loans, or major financial movements, I can probably find them. How long will it take? Few days, maybe a week. I'll call you when I have something. Thank you. 3 days later, Jordan called. Paige, I found some things. Can you come to my office? I drove to his office in downtown Phoenix that afternoon. He had a folder waiting for me. Your parents took out a home equity line of credit 3 years ago. $500,000 against their house. They also liquidated some investments, looks like about $250,000 from your father's brokerage account. I stared at the documents. So they borrowed and liquidated assets to give Brooke $750,000. Looks like it. And here's the interesting part. The HELOC is still outstanding. They've been making minimum payments for 3 years. Current balance is $485,000. They're still paying for it. Yeah. And based on these statements, it's costing them about $3,200 a month. My mind was racing. What else? I also found this. He slid another document across the desk. A quitclaim deed filed 6 months ago. Your parents transferred ownership of their Scottsdale house to a family trust. The beneficiary is listed as Brooke Williams. My vision blurred. They put the house in Brooke's name? Technically in a trust, where she's the sole beneficiary. Your name isn't mentioned anywhere. I felt like I'd been punched. They're leaving everything to her. Looks that way.
I'm sorry, Paige.
I sat there for a moment, processing. Then something clicked. If they're still paying $3,200 a month on that helic and my father's retired, where's that money coming from? Jordan flipped through more papers. I wondered about that too. I checked their tax returns, public record. Your mother filed for Social Security disability 2 years ago. Approved for $2,100 a month. Disability? For what? Anxiety and depression, according to the filing. My mother doesn't have anxiety or depression. She plays tennis 3 times a week at the country club. Jordan shrugged. I'm just telling you what's in the public record. If she's collecting disability fraudulently, that's a federal crime. I sat back in my chair. My parents had borrowed and liquidated $750,000 to give to Brooke. They were still paying for it. They'd put their house in a trust for Brooke only. And my mother might be committing disability fraud to make the payments. Jordan, I need copies of everything. Already prepared. He handed me a flash drive. It's all here. I drove home and immediately called Marcus at his office. I need you to come home.
Now.
We need to talk. When he arrived, I showed him everything Jordan had found. His expression grew darker with each document. Paige, this is serious. If your mother is collecting disability fraudulently, she could face federal charges. And if they transferred assets to avoid future estate distribution to you, that could be challenged legally. What are you saying? I'm saying you have options. You could report the disability fraud. You could challenge the trust. You could sue for your rightful share of the estate. I don't want their money, Marcus. I never did.
I just want them to admit what they did.
I want them to acknowledge that they've treated me like I don't matter my entire life. Then confront them. Show them the evidence. Make them face the truth. They'll deny it, not with documentation. These are facts, not feelings. I spent the weekend preparing. I made copies of every document. I organized them chronologically. I wrote out a timeline of every instance of favoritism I could remember, with dates and details. Monday morning, I called my parents. Mom, Dad, I need to talk to you both. Can I come over tonight? My mother sounded cheerful. Of course, dear. Is everything all right? We'll discuss it tonight. 6 o'clock. Perfect. We'll see you then. I arrived at their house in North Scottsdale at exactly 6 p.m. The sun was setting over the mountains, casting everything in golden light. Their house, worth at least $1.2 million, sat on a pristine lot with a pool and mountain views. The house they'd mortgaged to give Brooke $750,000. My mother answered the door. Paige, come in. Your father's in the living room. I walked in carrying a leather folder. My father was sitting in his usual chair, reading the Wall Street Journal. Hey, kiddo, he said. What's this about? I sat down on the couch across from them. I want to talk about Brooke's business. My mother's smile faltered slightly. Her boutique? It's doing wonderfully. Have you been by? The spring collection is beautiful. I'm sure it is. $725,000 can buy a lot of beautiful inventory. The room went silent. My father set down his newspaper. I'm sorry. The $725,000 you gave Brooke 3 years ago to start Lux and Lane.
I want to talk about that.
My parents exchanged a glance. My mother recovered first. I don't know where you heard that number, but it's exaggerated. We helped Brooke with startup costs, but $500,000 from a home equity line of credit against this house. $250,000 liquidated from Dad's brokerage account. Total, $750,000, with about $25,000 in closing costs and fees. Net to Brooke, $725,000. My father's face went red. Where did you get that information? Public records. The helic is filed with Maricopa County. The property transfer is public. The investment withdrawal is on your tax return. You investigated us? My mother's voice was shrill. Your own parents? You lied to me. For 3 years, you've lied to me. We didn't lie about anything. I opened my folder and pulled out a copy of my business plan from 3 years ago. June 15th, 3 years ago. I sat right here and asked you for a $70,000 loan to start my consulting business. You said, and I quote, "It's too risky. We can't afford to lose that kind of money." I pulled out the next document. July 2nd, 2 weeks later. You took out a $500,000 HELOC. August 10th, you liquidated $250,000 in investments. August 20th, Brooke registered Lux and Lane LLC. You gave her 10 times what I asked for and told me you couldn't afford it. That's different, my father said. Brooke's business had more potential. Retail has better profit margins than consulting. Brooke's boutique has been barely breaking even for 3 years. I've been pulling in 6 figures annually since year 2. But that's not the point, is it? The point is you never believed in me. You've never believed in me. My mother stood up. That's not true. We've always supported you. You've tolerated me. There's a difference. I pulled out more documents. Brooke's college, paid in full, $80,000. Mine, student loans I'm still paying off. Brooke's wedding, $80,000 you paid for. Mine, courthouse ceremony, because I couldn't afford a real wedding. Brooke's business, $725,000 gift. Mine, too risky. You've always been independent, my father said. You never needed our help. I asked for help. You said no. But I didn't need help. Is that it? Or did you just decide Brooke deserved more? Your sister needed more support, my mother said. She's not as strong as you. She needs guidance. She's 32 years old. She doesn't need guidance. She needs to grow up. But you've made sure she'll never have to because you've given her everything. I pulled out the final document, including this house. The quitclaim deed filed 6 months ago. You put this house in a trust with Brooke as the sole beneficiary. I'm not mentioned anywhere. My mother's face went pale. How did you? Public records, Mom. Everything you've done is documented. You're leaving your entire estate to Brooke and cutting me out completely. We were going to tell you, my father said weakly.
When?
After you died? Were you just hoping I wouldn't find out? You're successful, my mother said. You don't need an inheritance. Brooke needs the security. Brooke needs to learn to stand on her own. But you've made sure she never will. I stood up. I also know about the disability fraud. My mother froze.
What?
The Social Security disability you're collecting. $2,100 a month for anxiety and depression. The same anxiety and depression that doesn't prevent you from playing tennis, going to the country club, or traveling to California last month. I do have health issues, she protested. That's for the Social Security Administration to determine. And they will, because I'm reporting it. You wouldn't, my father said. Watch me. You borrowed $500,000 against this house to give to Brooke. You're paying $3,200 a month on that loan. And you're using fraudulently obtained disability payments to help make those payments. That's federal fraud. My mother started crying. Paige, please. We were just trying to help your sister. By committing fraud? By lying to me for 3 years? By cutting me out of your estate while pretending everything was fair? What do you want from us? My father asked. I want you to admit what you've done. I want you to acknowledge that you've treated me like a second-class child my entire life. And I want you to know that I'm done. I'm done trying to earn your approval. I'm done pretending this is a normal family. I'm done with all of it. I walked toward the door. Paige, wait. My mother called. We can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You made your choices. Now live with them. I left their house and didn't look back. The next morning, I filed a report with the Social Security Administration's Office of Inspector General. I provided all the documentation Jordan had found, including evidence of my mother's activities that contradicted her disability claims. I also sent a certified letter to my parents informing them that I was contesting the trust and would be seeking legal counsel regarding my rightful share of their estate. Then I called Brooke. She answered on the 3rd ring. Paige? What's up? We need to talk. Can you meet me? I'm at the boutique. Can it wait?
No. She sighed. Fine.
Come by. I drove to Old Town Scottsdale and walked into Lux and Lane. It was beautiful, I had to admit. Expensive fixtures, designer clothes, elegant displays. The kind of store that could only exist with massive capital investment. $725,000 worth of investment. Brooke was behind the counter. What's so urgent? I know about the money. Her expression didn't change. What money? The $725,000 mom and dad gave you to start this place. She shrugged. So what? They wanted to help me. The same year they told me they couldn't afford to help me with $70,000. That's not my problem, Paige. Did you know they took out a $500,000 loan against their house to give you that money? Did you know they're still paying for it 3 years later? They said it was an investment. An investment they're drowning in. Did you know they put the house in a trust for you? Cut me out completely. They told me about the trust. Said it was to protect assets. From me. To protect assets from me. Brooke crossed her arms. Why are you really here, Paige? To make me feel guilty? It won't work. Mom and Dad wanted to help me. They believed in my business. They believed in you. They never believed in me. And you never once questioned why. You just took everything they gave you and never looked back. Because I'm not stupid. They offered, I accepted. If you're mad at them, that's between you and them. I am mad at them, but I'm also mad at you. Because you knew. You've always known they treated us differently, and you never said a word. You just soaked up all the favoritism and let me struggle. You didn't struggle, Paige. You're successful. You have a great career. What are you even complaining about? I'm complaining about spending my entire life trying to earn love from parents who already decided I wasn't worth it, while you got everything handed to you without ever having to try. Get out of my store.
Gladly.
But Brooke, you should know. Mom's collecting disability fraud to help pay for the loan they took out for you. When the government investigates, and they will, this store is going to be part of that investigation. Everything they gave you, everything you built with their money, it's all going to come under scrutiny. Her face went pale. You're lying. I filed a report yesterday. You'll find out soon enough. I walked out of the boutique and back to my car. Over the next 2 weeks, everything exploded. The Social Security Administration opened an investigation into my mother's disability claim. She received a letter informing her that her benefits were suspended pending review and that she needed to appear for an evaluation. My parents received my letter from my attorney, Marcus's colleague Sarah Chen, informing them of my intent to challenge the trust and seek my rightful portion of their estate. And Brooke's boutique started having problems. The investigation into my mother's disability claim included questions about where the money they'd borrowed had gone. Bank records were subpoenaed. The $725,000 transfer to Brooke was discovered. My parents panicked. My father called me 17 times in 3 days. I didn't answer. Finally, he sent an email. Paige, we need to talk. Please. What you've done has serious consequences for your mother and sister. We can work this out if you'll just talk to us. I replied with one sentence. You had 3 years to work it out. You chose not to. The Social Security investigation concluded after a month. They determined that my mother had fraudulently claimed disability while maintaining an active lifestyle. She was ordered to repay $50,400 in benefits received over 2 years. She was also fined $25,000 and faced potential criminal charges. My parents had to sell their Scottsdale house to pay the fine and the outstanding HELOC balance. They moved into a small condo in Tempe. The trust that had named Brooke as beneficiary was dissolved as part of the asset liquidation. Brooke's boutique struggled without my parents' continued financial support. 6 months after the investigation began, she closed Lux and Lane. She took a job managing someone else's store for $45,000 a year. My parents tried to reach out several times. I ignored them. Finally, my mother sent a handwritten letter.
Paige.
I know you're angry. I know we've made mistakes. But did you really need to destroy our lives? Your father and I lost our home. Your mother is facing criminal charges. Brooke lost her business. Was your revenge worth it?
Mom.
I read it once and put it in a drawer. I didn't respond. 6 months after I filed the report, I met my Aunt Patricia for lunch again at the Herb Box. I heard what happened, she said carefully. The house sale, the investigation, everything. I'm sure you have opinions, I said. Actually, I don't. What your parents did was wrong. The favoritism, the lies, the fraud. You had every right to expose it. Most of the family doesn't see it that way. Most of the family didn't know the truth. Now they do. Do you think I'm a terrible person? She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I think you're a person who finally stood up for herself. And that's never terrible. 1 year after I discovered the truth, I was thriving more than ever. My consulting business had grown to $220,000 in annual revenue. Marcus and I had bought a beautiful house in Arcadia. We were expecting our first child. And most importantly, I had peace. The constant feeling of never being good enough, of always trying to prove myself to people who would never value me, it was gone. My parents sent a card when they heard about the pregnancy. I didn't open it. Brooke sent a text. Congratulations on the baby. For what it's worth, I understand now why you did what you did. I'm sorry for my part in it. I read it twice, then archived it without responding. Some bridges, once burned, aren't meant to be rebuilt. People ask if I regret it. If exposing my parents' fraud and favoritism was worth losing my family. The answer is yes. Every time. Because they weren't really my family. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't play favorites. Family doesn't give one child everything and the other nothing. They were people who shared my DNA, but never shared their love equally. And I refused to feel guilty for holding them accountable. My parents said $70,000 was too risky, but they handed my sister $725,000. So I exposed the truth. And I do it again. Because some truths are worth more than family peace. Some truths need to be told, no matter the cost. I'm Paige. Asked for $70,000 and was told no. My sister got $725,000 without asking. And when I found out, I didn't just walk away. I made sure everyone knew exactly what kind of parents they were. I have no regrets. If your parents ever told you they couldn't afford to help you, then found out they gave your sibling 10 times what you asked for, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Your pain is valid. Hit subscribe if you believe that exposing family lies isn't betrayal, it's self-respect. Because I'll be here every week with stories about people who refuse to stay silent about unequal treatment. Drop a comment if you've ever been the strong one who didn't need help while your sibling got everything. If you've ever discovered your parents' favoritism had a price tag. If you've ever had to choose between family peace and your own dignity. You deserved equal love. You deserved equal support. And you're not wrong for being angry that you got neither. Share this with someone who needs to hear that standing up to unfair parents isn't cruel, even when it costs them everything. Your worth isn't measured by what your parents were willing to give you, and their consequences aren't your responsibility. See you in the next story.